All right, welcome back to the Guides Network, brought to you on the Your Lake Fork Guide YouTube fishing channel. Today, new guide, new episode, new technique. We got Jason Hoffman on here today. He's going to talk to us about lipless crankbaits. Probably one of the best, most versatile year-round techniques that you can learn. And Jason is one of the very best at it. He's outstanding, a lot of knowledge, and wait till you guys see what he does. I'm telling you, the guy's got a magnet on his lipless baits that just draws fish to it. You'll believe me after you watch this. Hope y'all enjoy it. Remember at the end, if you like the video, as always, hit that thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, go ahead and subscribe. Tell all your buddies about it. We appreciate you guys watching the Guides Network here on Your Lake Fork Guide channel, and we'll see y'all next time.
Hey guys, Lake Fork Guide Jason Hoffman here, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about a lipless crankbait. You know, it's one of my favorite baits in the fall, but especially really good in the early spring. You know, for me, anytime I've got grass, I'm looking to throw a lipless crankbait. One of my new favorites really is this Strike King red eye shad. This is the tungsten 2-tap here. Today's the first day I threw it, and really great results. I'm really excited to throw it more. But you know, really, I throw a red a lot. You know, a lot of guys think that you can only throw red in the pre-spawn, and it's just really, you know, not the case. Works great in the fall too. You know, a couple of different things that I'll do. You know, Lake Fork's a really highly pressured lake, and one thing that I've found is after they've heard this bait, you know, a few times over a few weeks, you know, they'll start to get kind of a little bit gun shy to it. And that's why I think this tungsten 2-tap is going to be a real player for me. But what I've been doing the last couple of years is throwing the silent version of that red eye shad, and I can go behind people that have been throwing, you know, other brands and stuff with that lipless crankbait with those real loud rattles and stuff, and I can throw that silent one, come behind them, and I can pick up fish behind people because, you know, there's just nothing real negative about that silent. I throw this, you know, I really like that red eye shad, probably better than any of them. It falls real good on the fall. It's got a nice little shimmy to it on the fall. Primarily for me, I'm throwing mostly the red colors, the crawfish colors. I will sneak a chartreuse one in there sometimes, and then of course chrome and gold, you know, those kind of things. But that's really the main 4 colors that I really throw there. You know, sometimes if I'm fishing real shallow grass, I'll throw it on 20-pound line to try to keep it up above the grass. But when I'm fishing a little bit deeper grass, I'll drop down to 15-pound line on Lake Fork. Some guys will throw it on 12 to kind of help get it down there a little further. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I mean, catching 7-8-pound fish out of that thick grass, you know, I just don't feel comfortable with 12-pound line. 15 really is where I'm most comfortable. You know, as far as rods go, you know, I'll throw it on like a 7-foot medium heavy, 7.3 medium heavy, something like that, 7.5 medium heavy. You know, something that's got enough backbone that I can rip that grass out of there, rip it off that grass. But nothing, you know, too stiff where I'm worried about yanking hooks out of that fish's mouth. You know, one thing we talked about line a little bit, and you know, when I'm fishing that real shallow stuff, you know, I throw 20-pound line. When I'm fishing a little bit deeper grass, I throw 15. And I've tinkered with some different stuff. I know a lot of guys throw braided line, you know, and of course we've all grown up throwing mono and stuff like that. But for me, there's just no better line for me than throwing fluorocarbon. I kind of get a little bit of the best of both worlds. You know, I get the quietness of the fluorocarbon versus the braid. I got a little bit less stretch than I do with mono. Plus that mono kind of wants to float a little bit, so it kind of makes your bait ride up a little higher, where that fluorocarbon allows my bait to get a little bit deeper. So if I'm fishing that grass like, you know, 6 and 8 foot of water, and I really need it to kind of get down there and tick the top of that grass, you know, that fluorocarbon really helps me do that too. So, you know, plus that fluorocarbon is real strong too. I just got a lot of confidence in it, and you know, we throw a rattle trap out here or lipless crankbait out here a bunch. I think that technique was really probably invented down there at Sam Rayburn, but you know, we do it a bunch at Fork, and And for me, there's just no better line than that 15-pound cigar fluorocarbon. So, you know, one thing we do down here in Texas, you know, we got, you know, a lot of big fish. We're fortunate to have them, and you know, especially on Lake Fork. So one thing, you know, these hooks are okay coming out of the box, you know, for the most part. But for us, you know, catching, you know, 6 and 8 pounders and stuff like that on that red eye shad, I just feel better changing my hooks. So I'll use a Mustad. I'll upgrade my hooks. I use a Mustad 1X. It's a little bit shorter shank. A lot of times I'll even upsize my hook, so this comes with a 4. A lot of times I'll go to a 2. You know, and it just helps when you're catching those big fish to have a little bit bigger bite and a lot stronger hook. You know, especially when you're ripping that grass all day. And for me, I hadn't found a better hook for doing that than that Mustad. Of course, you know, there's a lot of different brands out there on the market. A lot of good lipless crankbaits. You know, all of them have different sounds. So, you know, a lot of times I'll throw different ones just, you know, to kind of see how those fish react. And of course, being in the guide business, you know, we've usually got 3 baits in the water, and you'd be surprised a lot of days one will catch them better than the other. You know, this one here is that tungsten 2-tap. It's a totally different sound than anything else I've ever seen. You know, we've all grown up throwing those that have multi-rattles in them, and they're really, really loud. Then the 1-knocker type baits kind of came out, and those were a hit. And this one, that 2-tap's got 2 little tungsten BBs in there, and it's a totally different sound too. It's a pretty subtle knock. It's pretty cool. It's the first day I've thrown them. I really like it. And then of course I throw the one that's silent too, and that silent one, I'm telling you, man, that's kind of a deal that's not really talked about a bunch, but it's really effective for me on a high pressured lake when I'm having to fish behind people a lot, and I can take that silent bait and get in there behind those people and pick up fish that have kind of become immune to that loud rattle and stuff like that. So, you know, just tinker around. Every day's a little bit different. You know, some days when you got a lot of wind want to work a little better. You know, other days when it's kind of calm, you know, you want to tone that rattle down some, or high pressure situations, you know, you want to tone that rattle down some. So really just experiment. You know, a lot of days, you know, you might want to have 3 or 4 different ones tied on at a time, and kind of pick them up and throw them out there at various times, and you usually dial in on one. One will be better than the others. So give that a try.
Hey, so what you want to do is this.
Yeah.
Tell them, Jason, tell them how you retrieve it. You retrieve it right into their mouth?
Yeah, you just retrieve it right in their mouth. That's really the key, is just throw it right in their mouth. That's the easiest way to catch them right there. But no, what I'll do is, I like to make a long cast. You know, wouldn't you know it, my bait found up there, but I like to make a long cast across the flat, and across the point, secondary point. And I just kind of keep my rod about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Golly, I had one smoke it right there. And you know, you'll notice I'm really using my reel to kind of adjust. There's one right there, to adjust the bait in the water column. Really feeling for that grass, you know. And I was ticking that grass right there, and that fish, that's a pretty good fish. You know, when you rip out of that grass is when they're going to bite it. So that one there actually hit it on the fall, and got off quick release, but you kind of get the idea. That one there hit it on the fall, and so, you know, that's a lot of why I use my reel to kind of, you know, feel for that grass and really bury that retrieve and really try to tick that grass. And there's another one. That's better. That's a head right there.
It sure is fun to work with talent like this.
Yeah, I wish.
We're trying to do a how-to, and Jason's too busy catching fish. Good night.
Right there.
You gotta be kidding me right now.
Don't get a hook. So, you know, I'll use my reel handle to vary. Golly, there's another one. I'll use that reel handle to kind of vary, you know, the retrieve of my bait, so I can let that bait sink into that grass, really make contact with that grass. But that's the key. I mean, you've got to make contact with that grass, be able to snap that bait off that grass and create that reaction strike. And not all these fish are really looking to eat. Some of them really more reaction. So, you know, just vary that retrieve speed a little bit, kill it, you know, when you have to get that bait down. This is a little bit deeper grass right here, so I'm really having to kind of take my hand off the handle. So as you can see, I mean, that lipless crankbait, you know, it's a super effective bait. Varying that retrieve like we talked about, really feeling for that grass, and, you know, it'll produce results like that. I got to get some pliers, guys. Take that 2-tap, didn't it?
Oh, right hand, didn't he?
Dadgum.
Good, Jay.
That's that new Strike King tungsten 2-tap that they came out with. You can see how far in his mouth, how far in the mouth he's got that bait.